So, I'm doing this video in hopes to get some sort of feedback from other people. Maybe a doctor or somebody is watching this video and maybe can give me some advice. But my mother, she's 60, well, not today, but she's 65 years old right now. And like 4 years ago, I want to say it's like, maybe it's 3 years ago, I don't know, when the coronavirus first came out that January, remember? My mom's whole life, I know my mother ever since I was born, but ever since I was just a kid until recently, she would always just be a funny, outgoing person, laughing, cracking jokes, dude. She was drinking her Kimura. She was subscribed to Xanax. They weren't like real Xanax, but they were like the generic ones or whatever, because she's always high strung and shit and a little bipolar, but that's just my mother, you know? And, but anyway, what's really ironic, so my Uncle Jay, which is her brother, stepbrother, same moms, different fathers, right? He's always had a problem ever since he was a younger guy. When he was in his teenage years, he got hurt by a girl, mentally, because she broke up with him and was sleeping around or whatever. From what I understand now, okay, of course, I was just a little shit, you know. I was just born when all this happened, and then, growing up, and my uncle always had a problem. Like, my grandparents were always, he was like the special one, right? Because Jay would lose his temper sometimes if you looked at him funny. And Jay had like some schizophrenia problems. Like one time he thought he was Jesus. See, my grandparents, they're very religious. So you gotta understand, Jay growing up with my grandparents, anytime they turned to God. So Jay thought he was God one time, started putting holy water on people. Like really, I'm sorry, just a little weird, right? So as Jay got older, Jay didn't want to go out in public. He was afraid, he was scared. And that was what it was kind of like. And then my grandparents, I hate to say it, helped him out, gave him some land because they owned 100 acres of land. He got a house and stuff, and he got married, had 2 kids. But everybody knew about Jay's sickness. And then Jay, all of a sudden, loses his wife, loses his father. My grandfather passed away, right? So Jay's like, and then my grandmother went crazy. Like, not crazy, but just old age, dementia, all this. She had to go to a nursing home. So Jay's all alone in the ruffle. So Jay starts acting weird, right? So he's in his house all by himself. His ex-wife and all this is gone with his kids. And he's just like, the whole house just is weird. He shuts everything down. He just sleeps all the time. He's depressed. So actually, he's been depressed his whole life. We always known Jay to take like going to bed all the time, sleeping, all this. And you gotta be fragile with him because he could get triggered. That's the way it was, right? I'm sorry. But Jay was a good guy. I love my Uncle Jay, right? But I know Jay was struggling. And so he had his house and it was just him. And then my mother, right, acting like her normal self, blah, 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 had come back from Virginia, right? Come back from Virginia because she took off. It's kind of a long story. It was a money thing. My mom got power of attorney once my grandfather died over my grandmother's estate and all the money and all that. And there were some problems between Jay and mom, which was weird because mom takes off with Nana to Virginia, buys herself another house down there, lives down there for like 6 years. Always wanted me to come down there and live with her and shit, but I couldn't because I had started my life here. Like I just started my business and all. So mom, but she was always goofy, being goofy and all this. So then she sells the house because she gets lonely. Brings my grandmother back to Burlington, Vermont. Puts her in a nursing home. And moves in with my Uncle Jay, who she's had problems with prior. And Jay's always had that hate towards her because I seen it. Jay one time told me if Pa, which is my grandfather, was alive, he would fucking slit her throat like some crazy shit. I'm not kidding. So I was like kind of stunned. But then I thought maybe it could work, right? So my mom's there, and all of a sudden, within 2 weeks, different person. She doesn't have any emotion. She had 2 dogs that she loved like unconditionally. She told me to get rid of them. Find somebody for them. I don't want them. Kind of went into this fucking depression. I mean, it started off not so bad. She said things like, my computer's hacked. Well, we had a professional look at it. It wasn't hacked, but she insisted it was. She said she had stage 4 kidney failure. Turns out she never went to see a doctor. She just figured she did, right? So now I want to bring her to a doctor. She refuses to go to a fucking doctor. So I'm scared. I don't know what to do. She starts getting into like, and I'm like thinking to myself, and if you ask her, she says, I had an infection in my gum and it went through my blood. That's not right. Because let me tell you why. We brought her to a hospital eventually, and they ran all sorts of tests on her. And it turns out they say she's depressed. But here's what's crazy. So she's living with my uncle, and then things start getting funny over there. Like Jay used to, I guess Mom was calling my dad saying, I'm scared of Jay, I'm scared of Jay. And we're like, what is he doing? And then all this. And you could, I guess there was a time where my dad heard Jay in the background yelling and shit. And so next thing you know, me and my dad see my mom is just mentally just drained. So me and my dad were talking, we were like, we need to kind of get her out of that environment because he's depressed. And we bring her here to the house. And ever since then, she just keeps on deteriorating. She refuses, she's afraid of water. She does not take a shower. She does not brush her teeth. She doesn't do anything besides lay in the bed. And if you look at her, she looks pale, pale, pale. We feed her, believe me, we feed her like, my dad's trying to help her. And my dad does everything for her. She can't do anything. She can do it physically, but she just chooses not to. I don't think she's doing it to be an ass of sickness. She believes in her mind she can't, so she just doesn't. She won't go see a doctor on a regular basis at all. The only times that she's gotten checked out was when she was willing to go to the emergency room because she thought something else was wrong with her when it wasn't. Like she said that her leg was hurting and she wanted to go to the hospital, so we brought her there. But when she was there, I made sure that they did all sorts of tests. Nothing wrong with her physically. But no emotion. She walks around like this. And I'm scared, and I don't know what else to think. Like, even now, it's been like 4 years later, she's not getting better. She's only 65. My dad is 74. My dad's fucking getting up every day and going to work. It doesn't make any sense to me, dude. And, I don't know what to fucking do. I'm thinking about going to talk to a priest. I don't know if Jay, I'm going to be honest with you, Jay had some religious, he was always this religious, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I don't believe in like Satanism and shit, but bro, I was there one night when he flipped, and I was living with him for a very short period of time, and I seen it firsthand. That's the thing. He changed just like that, dude. He was fine, and then all of a sudden he jumped up, he started crying, he started rocking back and forth. This is a grown man. He said he did something wrong. He couldn't tell me. He says, they won't let me tell you. I mean, some psychotic shit. And then he didn't even, like, sleep. Like, I would go bed. I was going to go in my room, go to bed. He would knock. He's like, can you stay in my room with me? Dude. My uncle said things to me when I was living with him. This is facts now. I'm not just lying or pulling this out of my ass. This is facts. This is what leads me to believe what I believe right now. And I'll get to that. But the fact of the matter is this. He said to me, I had to call the priest for him. He said, call the priest, please. I mean, are you shitting me? This is like some real extra weird shit. I've never dealt with that kind of stuff. It's almost like this, I hate to say it, like some sort of Satanism shit. But he was always like not, he loved God. You know, he was a God guy. But at the end of the day, it was like he had some sort of, I hate to say it like this, like it's demon inside him. And when it unleashed, it did a lot of damage to the family. And so overnight, now my mom today is acting just like my uncle did. But my uncle's not here because he hung himself. After we took mom to our house, Jay hung himself in his garage. So, I don't know if Jay did something to my mom and he felt bad enough to where he did that. We always thought that he was suicidal just because of the way he acted, so maybe that was it. I don't know. Something happened inside that fucking house, and my mom has not been the same ever since, period. This happened in my uncle's house. My mom says my uncle didn't do anything to her, but I know they had bad relationships, and I know that they fought verbally in the house. I need help figuring this out. Thank you.